Well, big news today. I'm doing this car video from the passenger side seat of the car. This ties directly into the content that's about to follow. You know what's crazy? I just was thinking about this. I believe this is the first passenger side car video I've ever done where I'm sitting in the passenger seat and not the driver's seat. And I've done hundreds and hundreds of car videos. You might say, what's the big deal about that? It's a pretty big deal. For whatever reason, and for many good reasons, I'm sure, mainly it's comfortable. I get in on that side. When I'm parked at my house, it's usually easier to be on the driver's side. I always do car videos on the driver's side. But it wasn't just until now, hundreds and hundreds of videos in, that I was like, why don't I just go to the passenger side because the lighting is better over here. It's less sunny. More shade. Better image. And ain't that life a lot of the time, folks? Ain't that life? There's a reason that I've mentioned the book Obvious Atoms, which is basically a self-improvement or business book written, I think, back in like 1916. I'll put a podcast link above the YouTube video link to that podcast episode we did about it, and I've spoken about it on other occasions. There's a reason that I mention that book from time to time. It's because obvious solutions, obvious things are usually the way to go. And often they are right in front of our faces and we don't do them. Like there's been, I'm sure dozens of videos I've made over the last year where it would have made more sense to be in the passenger side. But for some reason I always just did the driver's side. And part of the reason for sure was just a very, kind of short-sighted, egoic take. Like it's like, well, people expect me to always be on the driver's side. Stupid, right? If you think about it for 2 seconds, like that's ridiculous. Just as easily be on the passenger side. And it's much better today, and probably many previous videos would have been much more comfortable for me. Perhaps would have had better sound or better image if I simply went to the passenger side. And isn't that life? And certainly it's life when it comes to a lot of these manifesting concepts we hear about, especially the popular ones we hear about on YouTube. Is we think we have to do it a certain way, or there's a certain way to do it, and we don't think about the alternative that's right there in front of our face most of the time, and we just don't actually utilize it. It's like, for instance, a lot of people use affirmations, but they make sure they affirm in a certain way when they could just as easily affirm in a different way, or speak out loud. Like for me, I can tell you a lot of times when I'm just like robotically affirming, for instance, I'm going to get a more effective change of state and more conviction in my positive belief if I speak out loud. But instead, I might find myself affirming something over and over again when I simply could be like, you know what, Tim? Let's freaking talk out loud and just get this out here verbally, loud. But we're creatures of habit in many ways, which can be good and bad. And we want to be aware of this, and we also just want to be aware that when people give blanket statements or are very dogmatic about these rules or theories when it comes to manifesting, law of assumption, law of attraction, when they seem very dogmatic, there's a good chance they're wrong. Or that their experience is not your experience. There's a good chance that a lot of what I'm saying right now in this video is not your experience. And that's cool, right? I want to remind you too, now that we're over 4.5 minutes into this video, that Marvin and I are having a free group session this Saturday, if you watch this video shortly after it comes out, this Saturday, August 10th at 5 p.m. Eastern. If you want to join us, the Zoom link will be in the description. But yeah, one thing I wanted to mention specifically about what we're discussing, about getting on the other side of the car to do a video. about thinking just slightly differently to solve your problem, to make your manifestation easier, to change your expectancy, to change your belief system, to change how you feel on the inside so you feel better more of the time. One thing I want to mention today is question these big blanket ideas. And especially when they don't resonate with you. Like, for instance, several people have mentioned a content creator for me to, look at more. So I've been trying to watch some of their videos, and I watched them at like 1.5 or 1.75 speed, just trying to get through them a lot of the time when people recommend stuff. But I was watching one of these videos from this content creator who shall remain nameless, and they were talking just about, like, you're the operant power, and like you came into your body. It was your choice to take on this body, and to go through your childhood, and that you're just becoming aware of your power now that you're older. But it's like one of these like real Abraham Hicks type of things where it's like, you chose this human experience. You chose this human experience and you're expanding the whole time, all that. And that might really resonate for a lot of you. And I can tell you, for me personally, I'm like, that is a bunch of hog shit. And I'm not going to fucking take it seriously whatsoever. It doesn't mean this content creator is bad or that they're incorrect even. It just means that's their opinion. And their opinion might be wrong. Another good one, I'm seeing this a lot lately. I am stuff is huge right now. People think it's all about I am this, use your I am power. I made a video a while ago. I'll put a link above to that one as well. If you want to get deep, personally, I don't believe in I am. Where's I am right now? I am is a conscious thought. I am. It's a conscious thought. So, of course, from like a manifesting perspective, a small self perspective, saying I am and having that as a train of thought is correct, right? I am such and such. But when we talk about the reality of the universe or deep spiritual principles, and it's all about I am, I tend to disagree. Where is I am right now? Where is I am? Where? In my opinion, the power usually is that you are not I am. I am not that. That's where God or the universe takes over. So I am, whatever. But if you, follow a lot of these people on YouTube and you just buy that as being true, even if it doesn't resonate with you, you're going to probably feel bad when like you're doing all these I am statements and they're not working as well as they claim they're going to work. It's just not. It's just an approach. It's not like the actual dogmatic. It's not the reality. Flexibility helps. Me, finally, after all this time going to this side of the car, helps make this video more easy for me to do. That's why Marvin and I always talk about nuances, especially with the relationship stuff, but in general, for all this manifesting stuff. It's about nuances. It's about figuring out what works for you. And people love these big statements. You're the operant power. You chose this life and you're expanding. You are the wonderful I am presence, whatever it may be, man. You just got to figure out what actually resonates with you, what makes you feel good. Where's I am right now? I am's when you identify. No identification with self, there's no I am. Personally, I find there's a lot of power in that. And it's cool to disagree with me. This openness, this flexibility, this obviousness. I think that's something we can share with each other and help each other with. So I hope to do more of that. And yeah, if you'd like to join Marvin and I for our free group coaching call on Saturday, if you're watching this live, by all means you can. And if you have questions, I can be reached over at radicalcounselor.com.